Alright, I've been wanting to make this video for a while and I couldn't figure out exactly how I wanted to do it. So this is a dirt track. I'm gonna talk about how everything is kind of modeled in game and the good and the bad about it. There we go. Get a little sky going. So what we've got here is we're gonna go with the brown is the base, the surface that will not move and it will not deform. The red is the initial, what the track starts out at 0%, and then that's that darker color. Then it goes into a lighter color, and then this brown is the slick that you get. I'm only using the red and the teal just because it's a lot easier to see instead of different shades of brown. So, let's talk about how this works. So, what we have is layers getting peeled away in iRacing. That's pretty much how this dirt track surface works. So, where a tire runs, the layer will get peeled away, and then there is also some effect where it moves moves the dirt upwards. So let me quickly do a quick little visualization. So let's say we are driving here on the very bottom lane, and what we are seeing is dirt being thrown up here. Now, for some reason, the way iRacing works, it doesn't throw it all the way to the top of the track, which I understand and I don't understand, because when it is very light when you're starting off and you have just this little bit of wet loose dirt on top, it's easier to fling when it's not that thick. So one thing we're missing is we get this like middle part where the marbles are, and it doesn't cover the top. That's one thing I'd like to see change, where it gets flung and spread across the whole track. Now, the other issue is when we get down to the point here where we get rid of a lot of this red and just ignore the brown behind that. Let me move this down. I don't want that coming into play. Alright, that'll work. So, when we get rid of a lot of this red, we just keep pushing everything up to the top. So, I'm just going to do this all on one. That way I don't screw everything up. So, as you keep pushing this up, this is just as easy to make vanish as it was when it wasn't as thick. Now, iRacing does model the track changing on depth up top, but instead of, as this dirt gets thicker, it's harder to push up, it stays the same force needed to push it away. And what you have happen in real life is this is heavy, wet dirt that's getting thrown up the track, and eventually you're going to get so thick that the force of the car is not able to push it or throw it as far, and you start getting the cushion. Now, you'll sometimes get a big firm curb-like cushion. Sometimes it'll be a little bit banked more, but what you're not seeing is people putting their whole car over here on the red. You're not driving here because you're going to sink into it because it's not packed very well. It's all loose dirt. So, of course, you're going to sink, it's going to pull the tires, and we're missing that as well from dirt track racing. in iRacing. So jumping the cushion isn't a big penalty, and the cushion continues to be pushed up until it's either too close to the wall or too close to the edge of the track. And then you can't push it any further. The weight of the dirt doesn't get any harder or heavier, and so there's just no curb ever made, because you can easily keep pushing it away. And this varies from region to region. Some regions that, like down in Texas, I know a lot of clay tracks. There's not a whole lot of depth to the track, and the cushion is not a thing that forms up easily. You're not digging as much dirt up, it's not as wet, and you can just keep flinging it. It can vary at the same track over and over. You're not always going to see a cushion. That's a lot based on the depth that they tilled up the track, the moisture in it. If you don't have a lot of moisture in the top layer of dirt, then it's going to continue to be easier to push off, and you're never going to get that ridge to form. So the next issue with dirt in iRacing is it's hard to explain. Once you get the loose dirt gone, in iRacing you keep digging through that kind of lighter colored dirt, and then you hit slick, and it's just instantly slick. And in real life, it's more pulling the moisture out of the dirt due to heating and friction. Friction is heat. And just running the cart. Now, yeah, you're getting sometimes to a hard pan, and you're still having to pull moisture out of that. And it's not about just revealing a layer below it, and therefore doesn't instantly go slick, and sometimes it doesn't make the whole track slick. You'll just get patches of it, like you'll see in many places where you'll have this color here. Sorry for the terrible drawing, but there won't be a wide slick area. You'll still have moisture in the track, and you're never going to go below that. And with iRacing, we always go below that. Now, another issue is that the dirt is accelerated in how it advances through the night. In a normal racetrack, you're going to get multiple classes, lots of cars, and iRacing accelerated this because when dirt first came out, we were doing 20, 30 lap races, and that was it. So there was never a chance to get to a slick track. You had to put a lot of laps in it. So iRacing sped that up, and now with heat races, people being able to do hosted races and everything else, now we're getting to that slick way too quick. And that's causing issues because everyone's mad that, it's slick. Even though that's the best track to race on, is a slick track, because it opens up a lot of possibilities. One other thing that we're missing is sidewall interaction with the tires. Now there's no proof. This is just my thinking that I've thought for a long time. And easiest way to illustrate this is iRacing's track, and this is the tire. We're not even going to worry about the rounded edges of the tire. And the way that this tire seems to be modeled is based off of what it was initially built for, paved tracks. So you're getting interaction between the surface of the tire and the surface of the road. And those things the surface of the tire changes, you know, you can get different cambers and you know, tire inflation and everything is going to change where on the surface it interacts with. But you don't really have to worry about the sidewall of the tire on a solid surface. So when you take that down here, we'll just make this tire a little smaller. You're getting that same thing, but there's no sidewall interaction, which is a big key thing in using a cushion. You're pushing with that sidewall and driving with the surface of the tire. And I think what we're missing is that side force of the track pushing back on the sidewall of the tire and hitting the cushion like you would a wall. And we're not getting that. We're also missing when you're, you know, a bounce, a little rub, something weird, where you dig in here and you get a rut. And you're going to have ruts form up more often right on the entry of corners where everyone's running. And if, let's say we put a little rut here. Okay. So you get a rut here. If you got that rut there, then you're going to have to move a little lower to get around it, a little higher to get around it, or run through it, which is going to upset the car and be something that you got to deal with. And we're missing that, so therefore we're always able to run the same line over and over and over until, you know, a faster line comes up with moisture, the top gets pushed too far, other issues like that. So I think the current state where we're letting moisture come back down to the bottom, it's good, but without the top side having any ability to actually form a cushion, then that makes the bottom powerful. And also, always getting to slick is causing an issue because there's no chance of the middle holding moisture, where in real life the track might just hold moisture all night long. And in iRacing, it's all dependent on the amount of times that a vehicle goes over it, and once those surfaces are pushed off, then you're on the hard pan slick. You know, they tried to make a cushion, and what that brought us was something more like the chili bowl, where dirt was piled up against the wall, causing a bit more banking, and people were able to drive on that. See if I can find a halfway decent picture of that. So, throw this up here. Well, that didn't work. View image. So you've got this dirt piled up against the wall, and these are lighter cars, so it's easier for them to run on top of that. Plus, it's a smaller track, but you're still, you know, not going to be running on it like we did with the old cushion that they attempted. They were getting the car more banking and holding speed that way, rather than the tire pushing in to the sidewall. So, you know, I think those are some areas that can be improved. You know, how they do it is great. It's working. We have dirt racing, and it's the best dirt racing that we can have. But I think a lot of the issues that we want to get cleaned up, in order to do that, we're going to need a tire that interacts with the sidewall and the surface and is not just pushing away layers to reveal a slick track. How they do that, I don't know. I don't know if they ever could. I'm amazed that we're even to where we are right now. But until the dirt starts having weight to it and making it harder to push up the track and harder to get rid of, as well as allowing ruts to dig into it if there is a hard enough impact, until we have all that, there's just not going to be a good fix to get rid of the problems that we're seeing. But it's multiple different cars. It's amazing where we're at right now, but I think a lot of it is they think that it always should go slick, and it's all dependent on the area. It's I'm going based off of what it's like here in Nebraska, the dirt tracks that I grew up on. Someone from California is going to have a completely different opinion. Someone from the South is going to have a whole different opinion. But, this is how I see dirt tracks forming and working. And I think if we can get rid of being able to drive in the loose stuff up here and making the track not always go to slick, but hold moisture in it better, and having more, I want to show up to Charlotte in April on the service and it have a lot much more moisture in it than if we go to Charlotte in July and it's hot. We don't have those like dry, dusty, horrible nights where they can't keep moisture in the track at all. We don't have those tracks where it's just slogged down because tons of rain all week long and it just is never drying out. And I think we need more of that variety. Otherwise, things are going to get stale in a year, 2 years. Just because you know how the track's going to work. And yeah, you learn how a track's going to react even in real life, but it still throws curveballs at you. And, there's where the ruts form and how all that works. If someone flips and ruts out, hopefully with the new damage model, big old dig in or something with a fender, all of a sudden there's a new rut and it's just going to continue to grow as you drive through it. And I think a lot of that would bring more of a challenge to dirt and make you move around a lot more than you would have. So, I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. What's the dirt tracks like near you? I think we've got to give them more of an idea of what we're talking about and not just saying we want a cushion and the bottom goes away. We need to give them reasons why. And I don't know who they're talking to or asking, but there's a lot of different tracks, and if they're only asking a guy from one area and not talking to the rest of the world on how it works, then we're going to end up with a bunch of tracks that act like they're up in New York on a track that, never gets tilled up more than a couple of inches compared to some place that, they rip the track up quite a bit and it holds moisture. It's, dirt, not clay. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts? What do you think? I mean, it's still amazing that we've got this. Otherwise, we'd all be on Tony Stewart Racing, and that looks god-awful. So, yeah. Hopefully, this video kind of explained a little better what I've been talking about, and maybe we'll get some changes. So, thanks for watching.